Hey everybody, thank you for joining me here. It is I, that retro geek, the randomly ranting guy on the internet that you probably don't know anything about, and that's fine. But thank you for joining me if you stumbled across this channel. And if you like to come here, that's cool too. I do appreciate you dropping in and checking out this video. So today we're going to talk about games that would probably work good as a live service. And I know that's something that Nintendo doesn't really do. I mean, let's face it, they like to charge you money for the game and then just doing the same stuff anyway. I mean, let's take a look at Splatoon for an example, where Splatoon could have just continued on the Switch, and I mean, if you want to maybe do a once in a generation thing and say Splatoon 2 is the Switch one and we just keep updating it, that's perfectly fine, I guess, as long as there's a story involved. But for certain games, like, let's face it, do you really have to play the Splatoon story? Like, most people play it for the online multiplayer. And outside of, just throwing updates for it, it could be a live service game. It could be the kind of thing where it's just Splatoon just constantly updates, does seasonal stuff, maybe once a year. If you need to throw in something new or a new map or something, that's fine too. But let me know if there's any that I missed, because I did just grab a bunch of random games here that I thought might work. But, I probably am not thinking of every single game, because there's a lot of games that could work as a live service. So let me know if there's any that you can think of. So right off the bat, a game that I'm just going to throw in as an honorable mention because Nintendo's probably not going to continue with it, but ARMS. ARMS to me would just work good because it's already an online-based game anyway, as far as I know. From what I remember playing of it, there's like next to no story with it. So just the idea of just being able to get online and just fight people. I wanted to throw Smash Brothers in there, but that's not really the point of Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers isn't the kind of game that is designed to just constantly like rotate, like you have base players and then you don't. Now, could you? Yeah, because let's face it, any fighting game could really do that. You could just buy a character that you like for like 50 cents and then you just use it over and over again. But, that kind of defeats the purpose of just buying the game and you own it. But ARMS, I think, could work out a little bit better like that, because you could easily throw in like a Destruction All-Stars kind of thing where you get access to all the characters and you just play the one that you prefer, and maybe there's like online story-based stuff like that. And then another one that I want to mention, just because, again, I don't think the Nintendo is going to really continue forward with this, but if they do, the ideas and the applications that they could use for it is great, and that's Nintendo Labo. Nintendo Labo, especially the VR one, if they continue forward with VR, I think they could just throw in a lot of free applications. Like, they can even do like a Garage Maker kind of game, right? Because that's basically where Garage Maker came from, was from this. If you've ever played both, you know that they have the same character in it. But you can just easily have a Garage Maker kind of game where you're making your own little mini games. It's kind of like what you can in here, and you're just simply using one Joy-Con or two Joy-Cons or whatever controller that is that they have, and you're just playing these games for free. But, that's not that big of a deal. These games, I think, are the bigger deals because they're more expanded out, full-length games that I think could easily work. So what's number one? And again, you know how my lists work. There's not really ever like a number one or anything like that, because they're in no particular order. It's just how I grab them and how I think that it'll work out best. So the number one on the list is Mario Kart 8. Or just Mario Kart at this point. Because they don't have to call it Mario Kart 9. They don't have to call it Mario Kart Deluxe. They could just call it Mario Kart Infinite, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just an ongoing game, right? And that's all that it is. It's just an ongoing game. Like, look at what we have now, right? We already have the base game of Mario Kart 8, plus they threw in, 32 new tracks? Something like that? 64 new tracks? They threw in a lot of tracks. Imagine if they just did that over and over again. They're just like, hey, for the next 2 months, you have access to the Mushroom Cup. You have access to this special, Piranha Plant Cup or whatever. And they just bring back, Wii U. Well, Wii U is 8, so that wouldn't really fit. But you get what I'm saying. They were throwing, original Super Nintendo tracks. And just repeat this over and over again to keep people coming back. Because what's one reason why I kept coming back to this game was for the booster pack that it had, right? Trying out all the new tracks, trying out the new characters that they got. So if they kept just doing that, right? And maybe still get access to the same characters, or again, you just buy a DLC pack and you get all the characters, that's fine. But the tracks rotate, kind of like what they're doing online, but you don't have any control over it. It's really just these 4 tracks, and then they just cycle over and over again. I think that could be really exciting stuff, because then you can really get used to the idea of playing online, playing these tracks, and just basically make it just be like, hey, you know. And now, will they do the monetization part? Kind of, because I think that's already there. Like, they have the coin system where you can buy, where you get so many coins and you get like a new cart, you get a new wheel, you get a new glider. I'm not necessarily saying that they have to, but maybe they could throw in a $6 packet and you get, again, like a season pass. I know that people hate the idea of season passes. I hate the idea of battle passes and season passes, but I'm just saying that if they wanted to, I think that this game could work out good, because then you could just keep earning coins in game, and then you spend those coins in the shop to unlock stuff and make your tracks better. And that could be something where maybe even, again, you get chests that you use, and maybe you can get the item, like an S item, and that's the gold stuff. You get what I'm saying. Probably won't work out nearly as good now that I'm thinking about it, but it is an idea. The next one, just going back to old school, Super Mario Maker. Now, I know we have Super Mario Maker 2, and it's lasted the entire Switch's life cycle, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Super Mario Maker 3 for the Switch 2, or whatever they have is next. But did we really need a Super Mario Maker 2? That's what I'm trying to say. This is the kind of game that just could be an infinite kind of game, where they could just continue to, like, okay, this year we're throwing in, because we have Super Mario Wonder, we're throwing in the Super Mario Wonder customized themes for you to create these awesome new levels, and you just go online and you just play them. And it just cycles through the kits that you're allowed to use and stuff like that. I don't think it could work out nearly as good, because the whole idea is that the parts that you have are on the disc, or in the case of the Switch, on the cartridge. But you get what I'm saying. And, I mean, what's to limit people from already doing that now, right? Where you can just simply go in and just use the same online courses and stuff. But that was just an idea that also came to my head, too. Like, that could probably work. Next, and I think probably one that would also benefit if they ever came out with a sequel, and maybe I'm the only one that wants a sequel to this game, it's Nintendo Land. I want a sequel to the game. And I like the idea of there being multiple theme parks. You know, I've already mentioned one idea before, that people can create their own theme parks based upon, like, what they're playing or what they prefer. So if you do a partnership with Final Fantasy, for an example, maybe somebody creates an entire Final Fantasy-based theme park, and it's got all these little mini games with it and stuff like that. Now, I can think there's all kinds of creativity behind that. I instantly started to think of, like, Little Big Planet kind of stuff, right? Where people can make, like, Back to the Future stuff. They can make just all kinds of theme parks and stuff like that people can come and visit. And maybe you can even throw in different kind of games. You know, like maybe there's some kind of a weird Donkey Kong bowling game in there, you know? Or again, with different partnerships where this game is coming over. Like, let's say, just as an example, Resident Evil Village comes to the Switch 2, and for some reason now there's like a brand new, like, laser gun mini game that you can play in first person that is sort of like Resident Evil themed, or it can even be an on-rails game where you're just shooting targets. There's all kinds of stuff that they could do, and then you could just continue to update it over and over again with new stuff as it comes out, and then just cycle through the old stuff. Think of like what Fortnite's doing, where they brought back the original cotton picking map. But like I said, these games probably wouldn't work out nearly as good, because the whole basis of them, and the whole basis of what Nintendo does, is it's a complete package. So maybe these won't work out nearly as well as I thought in my head. So make sure you leave it down in the comments down below if there's anything maybe that you can think of that I didn't think of. But the last one that I could think of was Animal Crossing. Now, maybe it's just me, but Animal Crossing seems like the kind of game, especially pretty much ever since they introduced the style that they have now with City Folk, right, where it's just kind of down and not above, all you have to do is just keep throwing out new stuff. Like, they already do it. Think about what they do, right? What do you get in a whole year? You get different theme stuff. You get holiday stuff. You get Halloween-based stuff. Who's to say that you can't throw in some kind of a special update? It's like this year, because it's like, whatever year, it's the 30th anniversary of whatever game, we're going to throw in special stuff in here and allow you to customize your island with this. Kind of like what they did with Mario. They threw in that Mario update and stuff. You can get pipes and stars and one-up blocks and all that kind of stuff. Continue to do that. Again, like what I talked about with Nintendo Land, you make a partnership with Final Fantasy, with Square Enix, you make a partnership with Capcom, with Bandai Namco, and bring Pac-Man stuff, whatever you want to do. And it just continues to just throw in the stuff over and over again to keep people coming back. I understand the reasons why they don't. It's the same reason why we get very limited stuff when it comes to these games. Like, when you only have enough resources to maybe dedicate to 2 years worth of updates for Smash Brothers or for Mario Kart, for an example, I understand the reasons why you wouldn't want to continue to put resources into a game like that. But it seems like it'd be a good idea, especially because then you could test out new ideas. Like, going back to my Mario Kart idea, what if they decide to make submarines, right? And they want to test out the idea of using submarines. Like, I already know you can go into water, but imagine if you just, like, physically transform into a submarine. Or shoot, it just magically transforms into a jet, and now instead of doing gliding, we've got actual, like, stuff like that. And then you work with maybe Sega to bring knights into it, and now you see what I'm saying? You start to get like knight-themed levels. That's just an example of what I'm talking about. And then if that doesn't work, 3 months to 4 months later, or even if you want to have a season be 6 months, you just say, okay, that didn't work out. We're going to go back to the original game. Here's these tracks. And then maybe 6 months later, something new you try. I'm just saying. And I think of all kinds of wacky stuff, like racing on an N64. Everybody shrinks and just races on this N64 controller. All kinds of wacky stuff that you could try with Mario Kart. And then if it doesn't work out, just update it. And then it's not there anymore and you go back to the original tracks. That's just what I'm talking about. But maybe that's just me, guys. That's just a handful of games I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure that if I went through other games, I could probably find a ton more. And I mostly want to focus on Nintendo because right now Nintendo is not really doing that live service thing outside of maybe Splatoon. Splatoon's probably the closest that they have in there. That's the reason why I didn't list it in here. Even though Splatoon really doesn't need a story. You could just come out with like Splatoon Deluxe or whatever you want and just call it Splatoon, and then just does like a Fortnite thing and it just updates. The maps update. The way that you play updates. Maybe certain weapons are available for a limited amount of time, kind of thing. And instead of having to just reprint it onto a cartridge, it's just a digital-only game that's included with your Nintendo Switch Online. And that's the other thing that I'm talking about, because outside of these Battle Royale games that they're doing, which is fine, Pac-Man 99 was pretty awesome, Tetris 99 was pretty awesome. Not really much of a fan of the other ones that they did, but, that's just me. But why not get on the live service kind of stuff? And if you have Nintendo Switch Online, you get access to special tracks. Or you get access to, like what they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you get access to these tracks for free because it's part of your subscription. I don't know. There's all kinds of weird and wacky ways they could do it. And Nintendo's going to do whatever they're going to do. They probably continue to see the money and let's charge $60 for another Animal Crossing game on Switch 2 and then give them $50, $40 DLC down the road. And just make money that way when it's easier to do that than continue to have to. And then we just, we stop supporting the game after 2 years and don't wave any more updates for it because, hey, you now got your year cycle, so it's just going to repeat itself over and over again, and there you go, ta-da. I don't know. But am I crazy for thinking about this? Let me know in the thoughts down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you did like this kind of stuff, so that way I know that you watched it all the way through, you like it, and you want to see more content like this. Otherwise, guys, I hope you have yourself a great rest of your day. Remember that we're better together. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and make sure that you leave any comments about future videos that you'd like to see, because if I think it's a good idea, I might just do it. Have a good one.